Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Eid Mab'ath Mubarak to all of you and to the Imam of our time. When we discuss Eid Mab'ath and we discuss the day of Ba'ath, we truly don't completely comprehend it when you look at it a very singular lens. When one thinks about Eid Mab'ath as a singular day, as a day in which only the Holy Prophet received the revelation from Angel Jibreel alayhi salam and began his journey, we don't truly comprehend that image of the Ba'ath in which the Holy Prophet had begun a journey which had lasted 23 years within his life, and how much of an impact it had for all of the Muslims and all of humanity in reality. When we see in Ba'ath, we can understand that the Holy Prophet lived at a time in which there were many people who were in the stage of Jahiliyyah. And this Jahiliyyah was a stage of ignorance in which many people had spread bloodshed between each other. Arabia at that time was only tribes, and different tribes, one of those tribes of course being the Quraysh, in which the Prophet was part of. There was no centralized system in which the people would be able to be governed just like we have within the Romans or within the Persians. But rather we see a system of different decentralized tribes fighting within each other and causing bloodshed. And it is only during that time, in the cave of Hira, we see the Holy Prophet meditating and calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and being in a spiritual state in which Angel Jibreel comes to him. We can truly understand how Arabia was at that time by looking at a sermon of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Nahj al-Balagha. He says that Allah sent Rasulullah as a warner to the people. And the people at that time, they were living between rocks, and they were living in the desert, among rough stones, and they were drinking dirty water, and they ate filthy food. They would shed blood between each other, and they would care not for relationships. The idols were fixed among them, and sins were clinging onto them. So truly from the sermon of Imam Ali alayhi salam in Nahj al-Balagha, we can understand that the people at that time in Arabia were a very uncivilized people. And when we see the Holy Prophet, when he begins that journey, Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, he comes to him on that day, and he begins of course with the first verse of the Quran, as all of you may know. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم علم الإنسان بالقلم علم ما لم يعلم. So these verses of course begin with a very simple statement: read. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins his mission, begins Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi's mission by saying the simple words as read, we can truly understand as Muslims that ourselves must also have that goal in mind. For us to also be able to learn, to read, to gain knowledge to a further extent. And that is one of the messages of the day of Mab'ath. For us to also seek knowledge, just like our Imams did, as our examples, and the Holy Prophet did as well. For when we look later on, as a result of this Islam, a mission that took 23 years of the Holy Prophet's life, this mission brought humanity into a new age. If we look at it in a wider lens to completely understand it, we see that this affected so many people beyond just the Muslims. We can see it affected the Persians, we can see it affected the Romans. All of humanity was changed due to the civilizations, the golden age of Islam that brought upon it. And these advances we can see, it's the advances in algebra, in the maths, in the sciences. We see simple students of our Imams such as Imam Salih Jabir al-Hayyan, who was one of the fathers of modern chemistry. We can see that all of these Muslim scholars, beyond just him, we also have examples such as Avicenna, Ibn Sina, as we may recall. And these are examples which brought great advancements. We can see even today that some universities even have the books of Ibn Sina, that during a time when the Middle Ages were in Europe, we can see that Islam is prospering. And when we look at Ba'ath, or we look at the day of Mab'ath, one singular word can come to mind. It is a revival of humanity, to bring them to a new age. And like we said, these advancements in the sciences and the advances in algebra, in mathematics, we can see that through these advancements, we have what we have today in our newest inventions. It is only through these Muslim scholars and through the wahy of the Holy Prophet, in which he taught man and He taught mankind and all of the Muslims in such a manner which gave them that ability to begin that Islamic golden age, for them to also prosper. So we should also keep in mind that this revival within our hearts should be very important. That we should also, as a responsibility, as the followers of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, to also have a revival, to have our understanding and to have an impact as Muslims, for us to also follow, because we have many hadiths also that discuss to even search for ilm. If we have to go to Sin, we have to go to China, we have to gain knowledge from cradle to grave. So all of this hadith that we have and all of the verses of the Quran, we can see that Islam always asks you to learn more. It always directs you to be able to gain more knowledge. And as the followers of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, we should make sure that we also gain knowledge, that we also succeed in our own fields. I'm sure all of you may already be doing so. But understand that this is one of our responsibilities as Muslims, for us to also follow the path of the Holy Prophet. So this is what the day of Mab'ath means for us as Muslims. For us to have that revival, for humanity to have had a revival within their hearts, to begin a new age when many were fighting between each other, when we had the Middle Ages. And this was Islam. And this is the beauty of Islam. The Holy Prophet ushered a new age in, and this is the day of Mab'ath, the beginning of that journey of the Holy Prophet. So inshallah we can make sure to use this time that we have within this earth to bring ourselves closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for us to also seek knowledge inshallah, so that we can also get closer to Allah and closer, and then on the day of judgment inshallah we can be the followers of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.